Well, hello everybody. I hope you are doing good. If it's your first time joining us, my name is Brandon, where we are working really hard to try to create just a simple field guide for everyday life. I got no idea what this channel is going to become, but right now I just want to give like some quick answers to extreme questions and then maybe break them down in the comment section and on my blog over at brandoncannon.com. So if you would like to get more of this kind of content, make sure you like this video, you subscribe to this channel, share this video, and as we grow, you're welcome to come along with us. I want to give you an extremely overly simplified answer to the question, what is truth? The Bible tells us that when Jesus was standing before Pilate, you had all of these accusers of Jesus who was just saying all this stuff and lying and promising that it was true, right? All these lies. And then Jesus is saying something else, and he's talking about this, and Pilate looks at him and he says, what is truth? And isn't that a question that we've been asking ever since? It's never not been a question. What is true? What is not true? What is the nature of truth? But this is how philosophy classes begin, is how do you even know you're sitting in that chair? You know, what is true and what is not true? Well, the problem with our current culture is that words are changing. The lexicon of our normal vocabulary, the meaning of words is changing very quickly. And nowadays, people don't even have old school, paper dictionaries that they look up as much. They go online, where with one click of a button, you can change the definition of a word. And so this word truth has really taken on a life of its own. And what has happened is there's been about 3 or 4 different words that have all been smashed together into one word, unintentionally, I think, for the most part, but it has. And it's created confusion for some of our younger generation. Now, myself, who I consider to be very young at 40 years old, we are old enough to remember the life before the internet where you had meanings of words that didn't change. Well, now with the internet, words are changing all the time, and it is not so easy to tell the difference. And so I really quickly, in an extremely oversimplified way, want to give you 3 different types of truth that people say are true. And then I'm going to tell you what God's Word says about truth. You ready? Here we go. The first kind of truth is what is considered objective truth. Objective meaning observable. I can see it. It doesn't change based on how I feel about it. It is a rock that doesn't move, and I have to either move over it, under it, around it. I can't go through it. It is an objective standard by which life doesn't change. There are in our world objective truths that don't change no matter what. Let me give you some very basic ones. Gravity. Gravity is not going to change no matter how you feel. Now, we can break the law of gravity by having enough enough power to go up or whatever, but it doesn't change the nature that is there. 1 + 1 is 2 is one of the greatest objective truths that's out there. If you can agree with me that 1 + 1 is 2, then you can balance your checkbook. People don't do that anymore, but used to. If you can't, you can't, right? There are some things. There is an objective truth that you must breathe in and out, or someone breathe for you like a machine in order to live. It's an objective truth. If you don't believe me, try to go without it for a little while, right? They're objective truths. So one form of truth is objective truth. Second kind of truth, and this is one of them that is really under a lot of attack right now, is some people consider truth to be subjective truth. In other words, it is subject to the environment it's in. It is depending on my experience with the truth. Now, we used to call this my opinion or my point of view. And that's where these words have all got kind of smashed together, but that's what subjective truth is. It is my view of the truth. You ever heard the joke about how 3 blind men were trying to describe an elephant? There was one that was over by, the nose, and the big long nose out there, the trunk rather, and he was saying, this is, it's big, long, and all this kind of stuff, and he's like, that's what an elephant must be. And then the second elephant was over by the legs. He was like, no, it's like trees, and it's like 4 trees put together. That's what an elephant is. And then the third one was over by the tail, and he was like, well, no, it's swingy and smelly. That's what an elephant is. And then finally you put all 3 of those together, and it still doesn't quite make sense. You really have to step way back and look at it before you know. That's what subjective truth is. It is giving you the truth from my point of view. So it doesn't mean that it is the whole truth, but it may be part of the truth. The problem becomes when you get those confused. You ever heard someone say, that's my truth? Well, what they're trying to say is, that's my point of view. That's my experience at this moment in life. However, the problem is when they take that and they elevate it to the point of objective truth. When they try to say that all pepperoni pizza is bad because I don't like it, that all pepperoni pizza is bad is the same as 1 + 1 is 2. You get where the problem's going to come in? Absolutely, because that's not true. One of them is not true for everybody. One of them is true for everybody. So there's the second form. You have first, objective truth, which doesn't change no matter what. Second is subjective truth. It is my view of the truth. And then number three is truth as a construct. In other words, there is no truth. There's just my view on things. If I view it to be true, then it is. But if I don't want it to be true, it's not. Now that sounds silly, but it is becoming more and more popular among people. I was watching a documentary the other day, and it was this guy who was wanting to see if people would actually go all the way and say that something is not true just because I think it is, right? And he actually asked them, do you believe that all truth is subjective? And they were like, well, yeah, if I want it to be. That goes from subjective to now a construct. In other words, it really is just them. And he said, so you're telling me that if I don't want you to be here, you're not here? Yeah, I'm not here. So if I want to say that you've never existed, then you've never existed. Yeah, in your world, I've never ever existed. How does that work? And they were like, well, because that's the truth. The thing is even though that may sound silly, it's gaining more and more popularity in the world we live in today. And so here you have three different truths. You have the objective truth, that is, it doesn't matter how I feel about it, there it is. You have subjective truth, which is the truth with my experience, and then truth is a construct, and that is none of that exists, just me. Now, I think you can probably tell from the way I've been explaining this what a Christian worldview says. The Bible says, Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father except by me. Then he says in another place that you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. You have other places where Jesus said that if you will build your life on my teaching, my truth statements, then no matter what comes your way, you will be founded because your life is built on truth. The Bible also says in Ephesians chapter 6 that we were put on the belt of truth. The belt in Roman armor was the one thing that kept everything else together. And so what we believe as a Christian worldview is that the first two are true. The third is not. Now let me explain that. Number one, we believe that all truth is objective. All true things are objective. That means you can observe them. You can build your life on them. You know how you can tell something is true? Try it. If it works, it's true. If it doesn't work, it's not true. You have to understand that. That's what objective truth is. We also believe that number two is true, and that is that you can have an opinion based on the truth. It's okay to have an opinion. It doesn't have to be right. That's what makes it my opinion. The problem is, though, is as a Christian, we do not believe that subjective truth, your opinion, is on the same level as objective truth. Truth doesn't matter how you feel about it. This famous phrase by someone, whoever it is, truth doesn't care about your feelings. That's when you know it's true, is if it doesn't change based on how you feel about it. But subjective truth is something that you need to know about. How do you relate to that truth? The challenge is that you don't put your experience on the same level as truth. So once again, there's three forms of truth. You have objective truth, observable truth. You have subjective truth, how I feel about that truth. And then number three is truth as a construct, doesn't really exist. As a Christian worldview, we don't hold to number three. We do hold that there is objective truth and there is an experience that I have with that truth, but it doesn't change what it is. I hope you understand that a little bit better. Try to oversimplify it very much, but to get your head around that, because we live in a world where there's a lot of people who get those three things confused, and I hope maybe that kind of started to untie that knot just a little bit. I look forward to hearing more in the comments about how you've encountered people who think that truth is just subjective, whatever you want it to be. And maybe if you believe that, I'd love for you to give me your best example on how that is possible in the most important questions of life. I look forward to talking to you in the comments.